Okay. And then we have also some layout parameters that we can use. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, wherein you can put the layout either on the above, align bottom, align light, and align parent, parent bottom, align parent end, align parent left, and so on and so forth. So these are basically the parts wherein you can use to position the layouts. I mean the views or like button, edit text, text view. Yan yung mga kailangan nyo. And as you can see here, there are some parts na there's an at and then there's a plus and then package type name. So yan ay basically the ID of the view kung saan mo siya ipoposition. Sa gilid ba niya, sa kanan ba niya, sa left ba niya, sa taas ba niya, o sa baba ba. So these are the things that you need to understand and to practice to use in terms of relativity in relative layout. Okay. So let's do an example. So there's an example here. It's in the main activity wherein ang ginamit niya dito is fill parent or fill parent obsolete na siya but you can use the match parent. Match parent also ang pwede mong gamitin dito sa part na. Okay, so in this example, it says here that the width and the height is fill parent, meaning to say sakop niya yung buong parent ng container. And then inside this, we have edit text and we have a linear layout, and inside linear layout, meron tayong dalawang button which looks like this. Okay. So kung mapapansin nyo dito, so linear layout, so may ID, itong edit text, meron siyang ID na name. Okay. So, pansin niyo yan. And then we also have here a linear layout, which is, the pag-usapan na natin to, has an orientation of vertical, meaning to say, pababa yung kanyang arrangement ng mga views. And then it's also fill parent or match parent, and then it is aligned to the parent start, which is true, meaning to say, nandoon siya sa pinaka-start nung, o pinaka-gilid nung um, parent niya, which is the relative layout. Yun yung kanyang parent. And then inside this, we have the button. Inside the linear layout, we have buttons, which is in a wrap content. Pangalan niya ay a new button with an ID button. And same through with here, ang kanyang ID is button. So, mapapansin nyo dito, sa linear layout, meron siya ditong um, attribute na layout below at plus ID slash name. So, sino ba ito? Ito yung tinutukoy niya. So, meaning to say, itong linear layout ay mapoposition sa baba ng edit text. Kaya, kung makikita nyo dito sa ating example dito, so, edit text, then meron tayong button and another button. Kasi ito, naka-linear layout. Tapos ito naman, itong linear layout na ito ay nasa baba ng um, edit text name. So, let's try to do that. Open ko lang. Are you getting the concept of relative layout?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
So while waiting for that, so we also do have here a table layout naman. So a table layout is um, going to be arranged groups of view into rows and columns. So you will use the table row elements to build a row in the table. So each row has 0 or more cells, and each cells can hold one view object. Again, each cell can view one view object. Ibig sabihin, Kapag maglalagay ka dito ng isang edit text, isa lang yung pwede niyang hawakan. And same true with here, here, and here. Okay, so that's the table layout. So table layout has also an ID, can collapse the column. So this specific specifies the zero base index of the column to collapse. The column indices must be separated by a comma, for example, 1, 2, and 5. And also there's a shrink column which is also a zero base index of the column to shrink, and the indices must be separated as well with 1, 2, and 5. And same true with the stretch. And here is an example of a table layout, but we will try that later. So we have a table layout, then we have the table row. The table row has this. So isang row siya. So wala siyang column, isa lang siyang row. And then there's another row over here. And then another row over here. So parang basically tatlong patong siya ng row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Ano? 1 yung partner niya. Okay. This is 1. Then there's another row here, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6. 6 yung rows. Okay. Open na si there. Okay. So I'll be creating a project. Started with changing this part into relative layout. If we're going back to design, so itong hello world ay nandito sa gitna kanina. But then, since we change it to relative layout, it will go start it with the upper left side of the tree or the parent. Okay. Now we're going to do is to basically um, add more. Let's say I'm gonna add it here, edit text, then I'll use probably this match parent ref content, and then hint. I'm gonna put some hints like enter your name, then I also gonna put some margin. Margin left is 15 dp, and then margin right is 15 dot. Yeah. Then let's put ID, which is equal to at ID plus ID slash name. Okay. So mapansin nyo, nandun pa rin siya sa pinakagilid. And let's have another edit text box. So we're trying to create a what do you call this? Sign up button or sign in page. So another edit text. Copy ko na lang to. Copy then paste below. Then I'll be changing this to this is username, password. Yan. So magkapatong siya. So enter your password, enter your username. Then let's delete this part. Okay. So kung mapapansin nyo, ayan siya oh. Kahit ibaba ko siya, babalik pa rin siya sa taas. So that's what you call relativity. Now we're going to position this. Kailangan natin ibaba itong pangalawang text. So what are we going to do that? So kung mapapansin nyo, kanina, on this example, we have the specific layout. The bottom. So ito, the layout above, and there's also layout below. So yun yung hanapin nyo. So ang gagamitin natin is layout below, which is the position the top edge of this view below the given anchor view ID and must be a reference to another resource. So ang gagawin natin dyan ay babalik tayo dito, and then we will put it here, layout below, tapos yung pangalan or yung ID nitong si edit text na below niya. So we're going to copy this. So kung as you can see, meron na siya, bumaba na siya from the username. And to also give a little bit of margin, we can add margin dito sa ating edit text, which is margin top. And then you can put also probably mga 16 dp. Para lang meron siyang space from here. You can also actually put it here para hindi siya sobrang dikit doon sa ating parent. Let's just do it. Margin top, I'll put probably 30 dp para hindi siya sobrang dikit doon. Now we're going to create two buttons below the edit text for username and password. I mean, let's call it button, and then the wrap content as well. And then the text is sign in. Then let's copy this. Ayan. So, papansin nyo, magkapatong ulit sila. Okay, so what are we going to do here is we just assign first ID. So our ID is sign in. Ayan. So here we are going to use again the layout, margin layout, bottom, not margin bottom, but layout below, ID, username. No, password I should say. Ayan. So mapansin nyo, bumaba na siya below the password. And same goes through with um, this button sa baba. Ayan. So pero magkapatong pa rin sila. So what is our remedy to this? So kapag ganyan na magkapatong sila, we can now use linear layout to wrap it para balutin siya, ilagay siya sa loob ng isang linear layout na naka-horizontal align yung kanyang um, position. So let's try to create a linear layout. Okay, and wrap content, and then let's put orientation to be horizontally stacked or arranged. And then ilalagay natin dito si linear layout ay nasa baba ng password. So that's gonna be layout below password. Then let's put margin top about probably 15 dp. Okay. Then ipasok natin tong button inside the linear layout. Yan. So, masyado silang dikit. So, we need to give a little space. So, I probably put here bigyan tayo ng margin left na mga around 20 dp. Ayan. Then we also wanted to make this center. So just put it here. Gravity. Up. Okay. So we use the that again. Okay, here. The layout center horizontal equal to true para maging gitna siya. Okay. So that's how to use the relative layout. So you basically just position. So let's say we also need to put something like an image view on the top of it just to play around. Image view. So let's see, it's gonna be wrap content. Yeah. Then find a resource. the layout below also, the image, then put margin. Put margin. Yeah, meron tayong margin. So we can also make this margin top around 20 dp, then center horizontal 2. You want to make it bigger, let's say 250 by 80 by 250 dp. Okay. So that's how you basically do the designing in relative layout. So relative layout and near layout can always be together. So depende pa rin yan dun sa inyong paggamit. Okay, nagets nyo ba what's relative layout?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the future, you'll probably gonna use multiple types of view groups such as linear layout and the relative layout. And in fact, you can basically combine them together. Okay, let's move on to, okay, kakopyahin ko lang itong, ano na, itong code na to and I'll paste it to the Word so that you have reference later. Okay, so there's no code, wala akong kinode doon sa Java, it's all pure XML file. Okay, let's move on. I'll be deleting all entire. Okay na ba? Buburain ko na to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, naka-record naman siya. So, you can watch it later. So, I'll be deleting the entire layout. So, let's move on to the next type of group. View group or the, what we call, which I introduced kanina, the Android layout. So, we just basically gonna call the name table layout on the upper part and then use the attributes. We also try to put something on the row, and then we're going to put some views also inside. So we will follow this one. Okay, so let's go back to our Android Studio. So it's called table layout. Ayan. And then ano yung unang-una doon? Sabi doon sa ating module ay we need a table row and it's a pair. And inside the table row we have one text view and a text clock. Okay, gawin natin yun. We need a table row. Ayun. And then inside this we have a text view. May property ba yung table row? So balikan natin kung may property. Meron siyang property which is the fill parent or the match parent, height, and width. Ayan. Okay. Okay, back. So, maglagay tayo dito. So, height, match parent, and then width is, ano ulit yung ginamit? Fill parent. Fill parent and match parent are the same. Okay. And then inside this, we have a text view daw. Okay, kung ayaw nyo mag-type, you can just go ahead and drag and drop. Okay. And then we have another, which is text block, the text block, block text. And show here. Text block. even it's this. Oh, wala, hindi siya native dito. Anyway, I'll just put another text view over here. Call it 2. And then another table layout. So this is just my guide. Um, so another table row which is contains first name, edit text, then last name, edit text, and then rating bar. Yeah, so that must be outside. Table row, then as you can see here, meron tayong mga, ito, yung nakikita nyo yan. So, grid views, ganyan. So, first name, last. So, ito yung parang column. So, column, column, column. Okay. Then, let's have another, we have the rating bar. Another table column, table row, I should say. And then, I'm gonna put it here, rating bar. Which is, meron siyang column. And then last, Okay, so let's put column size. We column um this one. Something's wrong with the design. Wait lang. Field parent. Yes. Mm, Let's try to run this. Okay. So this is how it looks, pero there's need of like modification pa sa design, but this basically how it looks like. Let me just go ahead and try to check what's happened with the design. Bakit siya nagkagano? I think it's because of this remove. Yeah, basically I think that's the reason. Try to rerun. So it's basically just table layout is just working with table rows and columns in order for it to look like a grid one. Actually, there's another type of layout which is the table. Ah no, it's different pala. Yeah, but we're going to talk about frame layout next, and then we'll try to combine it in one interface, the linear layout and so on, linear relative and so on. Let's check. Okay, so it's better now, better looking. So probably the only problem here is that it um masyado siyang gilid or something. But in the case na meron kayong ganitong klase ng what do you call this? If this kind of layout, probably use only if it's needed na naka-table layout siya. But if you're just going to create a sign up page or sign in page or any um, filling filling out forms or activity, you may use relative layout, linear layout, or even the constraint layout. Kasi constraint layout is the most recent and most ano ba, new feature of layouts in Android. It's actually a combination of linear and relative layout. In here nga lang, so you just need to anchor the sides para hindi siya magpatong-patong dun sa kanyang design. Actually, I prefer using constraint layout when doing designs because it's easier to manipulate. Okay, so that's for the demo of the relative layout and the table layout. So we still have remaining topics for this, and then for the layouts, we actually also have the absolute layout. But in absolute layout, we just determine the x and y axis or the x and y coordinates of a particular um, view. View is if it's a button, a text box, or an edit text box. So yan yung mga kailangan nating um, i um, i-assign. So just like in this case, so the x is in 20, the y is in 35. So ito yung palaging i-check, yung pinaka dulo, upper left, right. Doon siya mag-i-start kasi ito yung starting. Okay, so yan. So it starts with 100 and then in the 85 axis, y-axis. Ito naman starts with an x-axis 15 sa may bandang oh yeah, x-axis 15 and then 185 sa y. So remember that x will always be uh, this way, vertical, no, horizontal pala. Vertical is our y. So that's how you basically do that. So you may try this so that you also have an idea how to basically check them. Ayan, no? So we have an example here. Let's say we have an absolute layout and there's a button with 100 dp in width and the height is in a wrap content. So depende kung ano yung karga niya. And then the layout x is at the 50 px of the entire um, layout, and then hahanapin niya yun dun sa pang 50 na pixel. 365 yung axis niya. So it basically looks like this. Okay, so you may try to do that. It's actually a very easy one. Kapag sinabi pala nating absolute by its meaning, okay, let's go back to the absolute now. So an absolute layout lets you specify the exact location and x and y coordinates of each children. Absolute layout are less flexible and harder to maintain than other types of layout without absolute position. Ang problema lang sa absolute layout, kung saan mo siya nilagay, doon na siya. So, kunyari, kung lumaki yung screen mo, hindi siya mag-a-adjust. Unlike other layouts na mag-a-adjust siya ng position. So, ito, kapag nilagay mo lang siya sa 2035, kapag lumaki yung screen mo, kunyari tablet na yung ginagamit mo, nandun pa rin siya sa position na yun, hindi siya mag-a-adjust. So, yun yung pangit na part pagdating sa paggamit ng absolute layout. So, again, when we're designing a mobile interface, or whether it's a mobile or a web interface, it is always beautiful to see na responsive yung layout o responsive yung nagiging interface. Kung lumaki yung screen, edi mag-a-adjust yung views. Pag lumiit yung screen, mag-a-adjust yung views. Something like that. That's what we call the responsive UI or responsive user interface. Yeah, so basically that's what this absolute layout talks about. But we're not gonna use most of the this absolute layout kasi nga again it's not flexible at all. Okay, and then the frame layout naman is it's a block of an area of the screen to display a single item. General frame layout should be used to hold a single child view because it can be difficult to organize child views in a way that is scalable to different screen sizes without children overlap with each other. So, bigyan ko lang kayo ng itsura ng isang frame layout. But I'm going to I think demo more about this frame layout para magamit niyo siya on your succeeding end term requirement. Okay, so you still have end term requirement, guys. So naipunan na kayo. Okay, so yeah, so basically itong part daw na ito, this is what we call a relative layout. And then inside the relative layout, we have a frame layout. Ito yung gilid na yan, that's frame layout. And then inside the frame layout, there's an image na naka-maximum yung size is fit to the width of the frame layout. And then inside the frame layout, okay, and then Another thing that we have inside the frame layout is a small icon. This is the image view, one big image view, one small image view, and then on top of it, there is a text view. So we're gonna, you can actually see this here. We can actually do that using this code. And so, but I'm going to demo more of that. So I'm just trying to introduce this to you so that you can also try it on your devices or on your computers. And then we will also gonna talk about the list view in this part also. Actually, list view mas maganda si recycler view yung tinuro ko before. It's a better choice than having this list view. Kasi si list view kasi medyo marikititos to. While in the recycler view, it's much easier to lay out things na paulit-ulit. But still, we could still use the list view anyway. So, especially kapag ganitong mga designs lang naman yung kailangan natin gamitin. So, it's already 10:27. I think we should only be here until 10. So, anyway, do you have questions before we go?
None, sir.
No?
Answer.
No
No, sir.
clarification? Okay. So, if there's no clarification again, there would be siguro I will be posting um the case studies um later also regarding this relative layout and table layout. So if there's none,